Welcome to another episode of the Speak the Language podcast. If you didn't catch the Instagram stories I put out this morning, apologize for this not coming out as early in the day on Monday as it usually does, but that was actually by design. Today is Monday, March the 15th, is opening day of turkey season here in Mississippi. So we decided that we were going to make a hunt this morning and then come in, I'd say after the hunt, but we're not. We're going back out, you know.
We're in between
hunts. Yeah, we're in between hunts. Like, we had to actually... If we weren't trying to record a podcast, we'd probably already been on the way out there. But it's kind of nice, I think.
Yeah, I needed a break.
Yeah. You know how it is, or I'm sure a lot of folks will be able to relate to this. Opening day comes, you want to just go full bore, but sometimes that's not the best move.
You have to remember to go as hard as the turkeys are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the turkeys are not going too hard.
They're not right now, which, I mean, you've got the early season thing going on. You've got the fact that the weather is not ideal, or it wasn't this morning.
No, we had a big front come through, and a lot of people got a wet behind.
Yeah, we almost did. Got out like just in time. So one thing we need to be sure to mention is, so we did go hunting this morning. It was Jordan and myself, and then our buddy, our friend Dave Owens, who we would love to have on this podcast with us, but again, he's kind of in the same position that we are. He's got work that he has to do in between hunts. So
he's in the bedroom of the camper here editing video. He said it's the first one from his trip from Hawaii.
Yep. So yeah, well, Dave's here. He's like, I don't think he's actually even 20 yards away. He's just in another room over there working on Pinhoti stuff, which completely understand.
Yeah.
Got to do what you got to do, which, like I said, I think everyone kind of needed to stop for a second.
No, I'm not far. If I got still for a couple minutes, I'd probably go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because 2 a.m. or whatever time we left this morning, got here early.
Mm-hmm. And we just came off of, so this is opening day in Mississippi, but we've been turkey hunting since March the 6th because we started in Florida.
Yeah, it opened up on the 6th. So
yeah.
We hunted down there for 6 days.
Yep.
And then came back home Saturday. And then scouted here yesterday. And then we started hunting today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've been going nonstop.
Yeah. We did come home. Yeah. Yeah, we came home Saturday.
Yeah, because we were scheduled to come home yesterday, but we ended up getting done early.
Do you think we're tired now? Imagine if we wouldn't have come home till Sunday. Think about that.
Yeah.
Get home from that 13-hour drive and then go straight to a 2 a.m. wake up.
Mm-hmm. It's worth it, though. Turkey season.
Yeah. You only can do it once a year, so why not? That's the way I look at it. I'm trying to think what I want to go to first. Well, we're recording this live after, pretty much live. I mean, as soon as this right now, it is 2:32 p.m. However long it takes us to do this, the second it's done, I'm going to get to work on uploading it. So it's going to be pretty close to as live action as you can get a podcast with, other than live streaming one. So I guess we can talk about our hunt this morning before we go into anything else, because although we've not killed anything, it got unexpectedly interesting really, really quick.
Yeah, we got in a pinch.
Yeah.
A spot is a good problem, but a problem you don't want to. So we get to the spot we wanted to hunt this morning, and the weather was not great, but it wasn't raining. Get out of the truck, walk a couple hundred yards or so.
Yeah.
And sit by a tree waiting on the world to wake up. And what that turkey gobbled at some thunder the first time,
yeah.
like way off.
Yeah, we were just like hoping that a gobble of some sort would ring out.
Yeah.
Because it was so like thick and just kind of muggy feeling this morning. It didn't feel like a good turkey morning at all. But again, it's opening day, so you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're sitting there. He gobbled twice, I think. And I mean, he's a country mile away, just barely could hear him. And the spot we were at, I've hunted a good bit, and you've been in there before too.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like turkeys would be doing what they do, what I found them doing in the past.
Right.
And we heard another turkey. You heard him, and I thought I heard him, and we both looked at each other and confirmed it was a turkey.
Yeah.
And he was in a spot I had hunted before, and I kind of thought I might know what he's doing.
Well, because you told me, like, it was so faint. Me and you will do this a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people that turkey hunt together will. If you're unsure of where you thought, if you're unsure of the direction, you'll ask your buddy without saying what you think, because you don't want him to be, biased towards the way you think the turkey was. So you turn around and you're like, which way did you think that was? And so I pointed, I was like, somewhere over in there. And you're like, okay, that's what I thought. And I've heard turkeys be in there before, but we weren't sure.
Yeah. So where we were at, it was still 400 or 500 yards from where we thought the turkey gobbled.
Yeah.
And put a game plan together. We went down this little drain. And I knew from hunting it years past that there would be a fire break up there we could jump on and possibly see some sign, because turkeys have always walked that fire break. And sure enough, as soon as we get across the ditch, there's fresh gobbler tracks. I'm like, all right, we're on something then. Because I hadn't been in there all year. I hadn't had a chance to scout it, because we've been gone and the ice storm screwed us up. Then we went coyote hunting, and just one thing after another. I hadn't had a chance to scout anything. Really.
February is usually a laid back month for us because we're coming off deer season.
Yeah, we're usually have listened 4 or 5 places. Just hopscotching around.
I have a lot better tabs.
Yeah.
Typically, we have that one weekend where we have the NWTF convention, but other than that, we're pretty much at home, and that was not the case. Like you said, I had COVID at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
And then right after that was the ice storm, and then we had to go coyote hunting, and then we had like 3 days, and it was turkey season in Florida. So, yeah, it hasn't quit.
Yeah, I'm tired. But
me too, man.
So
me too.
We get on the logging road and see there's fresh tracks there. And this is big, wide open woods. Nothing has foliage on it down here right now, really, other than like a few blackberry bushes are starting to spring out, and a few trees are starting to show a little green on them. So everything's wide open, and you can see like 300-400 yards through these woods and spots.
Yeah.
And you and Dave, y'all were back there looking at them tracks or something?
I was, especially what I was doing, especially if I'm hunting like a group of 3. I'll always, if I'm running camera, which I was, I'll always kind of hang back farther, just because my thinking is one, sometimes 2 people walking together, they may miss hearing something, and 2, there's no sense in 3 people all bunched up walking together, so I'll just kind of hang back. Not like I was probably 10 yards behind y'all.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I know we're kind of separated.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the same page about walking quietly and listening,
Yeah.
And I stop and look with my binoculars through these big wide open woods, and I'm scanning through there, and I see a turkey fan, like strutter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, golly, somebody done got a strutting decoy or something up in here.
Yeah.
And I get to looking at it, and then it moves. I'm like, oh boy. We're in the wide open. We're in these wide open woods in the fire lane. I'm like, and the turkey's like 175 yards.
Yeah. You're thinking there's no way this ends well.
So I'm like, if we move, he is going to see us. No doubt about it.
Hey guys, going to pause the conversation for just one quick second because we're talking about the Mississippi turkey season opener. We're talking about everyone finally getting a chance to get out into the spring woods. I can't do that if I don't mention to you something that we will not step into the spring woods without, and that is the Onyx Hunt app. That is something that I'm not lying when I say I'm going to use every single day. It has so many incredible features that can help you make decisions quicker. It can help you make better decisions. It can help you become more familiar with the ground you're hunting quicker. If you're hunting on new property, if you're hunting private land, if you're hunting public land, it does not matter. There are things that the Onyx Hunt app can do for you that can put you a step ahead of the game. So check it out today, the Onyx Hunt app. Use the promo code PRIMOS20 to save 20% off your Onyx Hunt membership.
But somehow or another, I had a big oak tree right close to me. I just like moved 6 inches and I was behind it from the line of view from the gobbler to me.
Yeah.
But y'all were 15 feet or so behind me.
Yeah.
And I turned around and was like, hit the deck.
Yeah, you were like, get down, get down, get down. We're like, oh, okay.
And anyway, I crawled up to that oak tree and peeked around. It was looking at him with binoculars, and he didn't see us by some happenstance.
That's still, I'm not like that blows my mind. That doesn't happen.
And I kind of trying to direct y'all. I don't want to talk too loud because it's a cluster.
Yeah.
And finally, y'all get crawled up by me, and I'm watching him, and he turns and starts coming towards us.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what's fixing to happen here? And like, I'm steady looking at y'all, seeing if you're getting set up or whatever. I mean, it's a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
Like, nothing. There was nothing you could do.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wanted to, in my mind, I was like, I need to get ready, but then I was like, I can't. There's nowhere I can move to try to get set up with that big camera. You know, I was like, there's nothing I can do to get set up without spooking it. There's no way.
Yeah.
So I just stayed like melted into the ground and was running the secondary cam.
Yeah. And in the meantime, I never saw the hen, but this gobbler's steady, like, making moves towards us.
He's strutting and stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm getting stuff, man. It's all good.
Anyway, he's strutting, and he come out of strut and walk a few steps, and he popped right back up. But I'm assuming he had a hen with him, just the way he was acting.
Right.
But anyway, by the time you get back behind me with the little camera running, I mean, at this point, I mean, we're going to have to try to make something happen if he comes into range. I mean, you don't let those opportunities go by. And anyway, I turn around and look at y'all, ask you something, talk to you or something, I don't remember, but I turn back around to look, and the gobbler's in the fire lane at like 85, 90 yards at this point.
Yeah.
He just popped strut. I'm like, oh boy. Well, come to find out, I was looking at two different gobblers. That's why he got so close so fast. And by the time that he got, like, I thought he was like 80 yards strutting, and they started going, instead of straight towards us, they started going to the right. And then I saw another one come through the hole too. I'm like, golly, it's two of them. Big old white pumpkin-headed suckers.
Yeah.
I mean, like softballs, big old gobblers. But, and Dave saw them go through one little spot, or saw one of them. And we never could get any footage of them or anything. And we finally got in a spot where got settled enough where we thought we might could yelp at them. And they wouldn't gobble. They didn't do nothing. We sat there, for 30 minutes or so afterwards, and they never made another sighting of them. So we think they just kind of short shucked us and kept on going wherever they had in mind they were going.
Yeah.
But funny thing was, I asked Dave, I was like, hey, let me borrow your rangefinder. I want to see how far they were. I think they were about 80. I pulled up a rangefinder. They were like, the tree that they walked in between, one tree that was closer to us and another one, they were like 10 yards apart. And the first one's like 43 yards and the second one's like 58. So I'm like, they walked by at like 50 to 55 yards.
Yeah, and you're just thinking there's 80.
Yeah, I mean, they were close enough to potentially make something happen. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah. What happened so fast? Like, I never saw the turkeys. You saw them and Dave saw them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, as much as, I mean, like, obviously I'd love to have seen them. Any turkey hunter would, but I was like just laying on the ground. I had my camera running on you and Dave. That's all I could do. Because I'm just trying to paint a visual picture for everyone listening. There is Jordan. We're in this fire break, and there's Jordan who is crawled up, like he's laying prone, and he crawls up to this oak tree and just kind of,
I'm peeking out the side.
Yeah, he climbs up and kind of pulls himself up the oak tree where he's still kind of laid on the ground, but his like chest and up is like up against the tree. And Dave is laying flat on the ground behind him, and I'm laying flat on the ground behind Dave. I mean, that's all we
had a snake going on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, I know we have, a lot of folks that aren't, Mississippi or Southeast local that listen to this podcast. I mean, like, these woods right now are open, like open. There was nothing. That's the only, is just try to make yourself be as much like the leaves on the ground and hope for the best. That's the only thing we could do.
Yeah.
And it got really, really tense really, really quick.
Well, that was our excitement for the morning, and it started raining 20 minutes after that.
Yeah, we had just found a spot where we were like, this is where we can hang out. You know, maybe they'll come back through here or they'll
And I
something.
think we may end up back in that spot before the afternoon's over.
Yeah, like I said, after this little break takes place that needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like it just one. I think of lessons to be learned from that, and then I also think about, other than the lessons to be learned, is that we got extremely lucky that we didn't spook those turkeys.
Yeah, I mean, I just happened to stop in the right spot where I could see a piece of that sucker's fan with binoculars.
Yeah,
Like, if I'd have been 6 inches, stopped 6 inches sooner, I wouldn't have been able to see him. And I'd have continued on walking and
Yeah.
definitely would have spooked him. I just happened to stop in the right spot
Mhm.
where you could see him in a little hole.
yeah. And just the fact that we know that there was at least 2 turkeys there, probably 3, because like you said, there had to have been a hen somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me, is like, I understand the gobbler didn't see you because he was strutting and facing away from you.
Yeah.
But that hen wasn't strutting, you know. And so I'm like, how did she?
The only thing that could happen, she was just in the right spot where she couldn't see us.
Yeah. But because that's what we were saying.
It got intense.
Me, you, and Dave were all saying, like, I'm counting that as a win because we did not bump those turkeys
Yeah.
when we very easily could have. But
They had no idea we were in the world.
But one thing that I want to pull from that is I think just like a very, very key point and something for everyone to think about, and something that I was super bad about doing, especially when I was younger, is turkey season when it opened up, you're all excited. You want to go. You want to be wide open. And again, we talked about these open woods. I know, I mean, you did just happen to stop in the right spot, but you were, before that, you were making sure that you stopped every so often and was glassing around.
I mean, we knew there was a turkey there, and one night he gobbled one time, and I mean, they're not going far this time of year.
Mm-mm.
And I've learned the hard way that if you don't pay attention with binoculars and really scope out through them trees this time of year, you're going to bump them.
And sometimes you're gonna bump turkeys you didn't even know you bumped. You just think you're making a loop around the woods and you didn't hear anything, but you're like, you bumped turkeys, you just don't know it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like if we'd kept walking another 20 yards,
They'd have had us.
I mean, we'd have never known they were there.
Yeah.
Ever. They'd have scurried out through there, and I mean, they're far enough away where if they had putted, you wouldn't hear them, and probably wouldn't even putt. They'd just run off.
Mm-hmm.
You'd never know they were in the world.
Yeah. I thought that was a big takeaway. Just because I know it's so easy to do. You want to get out there. You want the turkeys to be gobbling. You want them to be acting right.
Mm-hmm.
A turkey don't have to gobble when you yelp at them. That turkey didn't gobble, but that one time we heard him on the limb.
Yeah, and I mean, Dave gave him his best whatever he can do with that mouth call, which is pretty impressive. And
Better than what either of us can do.
Yeah, and he did not make a peep. And this is something I learned where I grew up. You've heard me talk about it. I grew up hunting big hardwood bottoms.
Yeah.
And like you could see 300-400 yards of them suckers. And then early in the season, I mean, I steady would scan with binoculars through there because a lot of times you'd see them before you ever heard one gobble.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty easy to see a big old black turkey walking through a hardwood bottom if you're looking.
If you're looking for them. There's no doubt about that. I think that, and then another big point that I want to get on is, even though we sat there for like a minute and then it started raining, but we're planning to go set up there, is talking about where we chose to set up. You know, we didn't just go, well, we need to sit down. They may come back through here and just pick the first tree.
Yeah, we found spots got cover.
Yeah, which is not always the easiest thing to do this time of year, but it's super important.
And we're going off a lot what I've had happen in there in the past.
Yeah.
And unless nothing major changes, in my opinion, from year to year as far as the habitat and stuff, a lot of times, even though it may be different turkeys than you hunted there 3 years ago, there's a good chance they may do the same stuff just because of the landscape topography makes them do it. That's the way they do, you know.
Yeah, it's how they act, yeah.
So we'll see. We got some good cover in a treetop, and we're gonna go up in there. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna ease in. We may not even make it that far. I hope we don't.
That would be nice. If it clears up, you make it one to fire off, which would be much appreciated.
We'll see. We're gonna go give it to them.
Yeah.
See, give it our best effort.
Yeah. I think. But yeah, I want to make sure before I move on to something else. And so we talked about the open woods and glassing and set up in a tree. I do think, like, if it works out where you can set up into a falling down treetop or a dead tree or something like that, that just always works so well.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. You got vertical, horizontal, whatever in between that is called, and I mean you got
diagonal.
Whatever, and you just got different shapes and branches and all that stuff to hide in. So I think it breaks you up a lot better than.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you can get by a big tree that covers your shoulders, just with it, your shoulders.
Yeah, that's a big one. I used to be. You don't want to be, a 200-pound guy sitting on a 6-inch tree. I mean, it ain't.
I mean, sometimes you have to, but
sure.
If you got the choice, find somewhere you can hide.
It covers the width of you, so you ain't sticking out, and you're gonna look funny.
Because I don't care what nobody says. Can't anybody sit perfectly still for an extended period of time without scratching your face or something?
Yeah, so. You're gonna fidget.
Oh yeah, I am anyway.
Oh, I know I do. You get on to me for it sometimes. Quit moving.
Oh man, I'm tired.
I know. We should have planned this out better because, I mean, it is the first day of the season. We got a long way to go. So think about that.
This guy get used to being tired.
You think about that. We got a long way to go.
I think eventually you get 5 or 6 days into it, you just get so used to being tired all the time. When you do actually get an extra hour's sleep, you're like ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole time we were in Florida, we were waking up at like 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
When this morning we were waking up at 2, which honestly, when we were in Florida, we were waking up at a central time too, so it was the same thing.
Yep.
If you think about it that way. What else do we got? I mean, I wish we had. I mean, obviously, when we were going to do like a podcast that was like opening day, turkey season, we're going to tell you about the hunt. It would have been great if we were like, we killed a turkey and this is how it happened. But it don't always go that way.
I mean, me and you been turkey hunting a while, I would say. And I've only killed a turkey on opening day like 3 times.
You've done it more than me. In Mississippi, I think I've killed one or two opening day turkeys.
Doesn't usually go as planned.
No.
And a lot of people, I mean, better hunter than I am, got them figured out or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of people kill their turkeys every year on first opening day, but I hardly ever do.
Yeah, me too. I usually got to scratch for them a little bit before it happens for me. But that's part of the fun. Oh, I know the other thing that I wanted to mention. So, we're sitting there this morning, and it's getting to where, I mean, it's getting daylight. It ain't like, I mean, it's still, turkey ain't going to be flying down, but it's getting daylight. You can start to see. And the thunder claps and that turkey gobbles. I know several folks that at that moment, they start tearing out towards that turkey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, they go, there he is, and they just start walking.
And trust me, I thought about it, and then I had to think twice.
Yeah.
Just cause the turkey that gobbled at the thunder, I don't know, I just had we talked about it, it's like, I don't know. There wasn't turkey I felt like I felt like there was some in between us.
Yeah.
And you just being a crappy morning like it was, I mean, I'm sure there's turkeys that were around where we were that
just never gobbled.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's another key thing, going back to early season stuff. I know how much like pent up excitement and energy you can have, and you hear a turkey gobble and you want to just take off and go.
Yeah.
You got to get set up on him. Got to get close to him before he flies down. But again, going back to those open woods, how far out they can see you walking across the ground to them, especially if it's starting to get daylight.
Oh man, if they hear a twig snap, whatever, they're steady looking down there.
I remember we were talking to Bob Walker about this, and he was like, even if you don't flush the turkey out of the tree, you still, like, sometimes that's why they fly down and go the other way, because they heard something that direction, they don't know what it was, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough for them to flush, but they ain't coming your way.
Yep.
It's just super, super easy to do. And I'm hankering on this because a lot of it's because I just remember how I used to get, heck, I flushed a turkey off the limb last year in the early season. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Because I was trying to get to another turkey I thought was back there. So I'm no angel by any means. If there's a world's worst at getting over eager and making mistakes, I'm like the poster child for it. But I know a lot of other folks that do, and I know a lot of other folks that won't talk about that because they find it embarrassing. But I talk about it because it's helpful, and everyone does it, whether or not they want to admit it or not.
Oh, shoot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know on social media, everyone wants to be the big bad turkey hunter that never makes mistakes, but we all do. So
I just get lucky sometimes and happen to run into one in gun range. That's about it.
Yeah. I think to close out this podcast, I know we were in it, we were talking about Mississippi early season stuff. I am super fired up for the Mississippi season, as I always am, because it's just something about turkey hunting in your home state,
Yeah.
And then go to Alabama after this. I love hunting in Alabama. But one thing, I think a fun thing to kind of end the conversation on is we should tell them about, there's a lot of good hunts that happen in Florida. A lot.
Yes.
But my personal favorite one is probably going to be your personal favorite one, too. One, because Jesse got to shoot another turkey. And two, that was just a really, really awesome hunt from start to finish.
Yeah.
That
was when a game plan actually
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lake and I, Jessie is my wife, by the way, if you don't know who that is, and she got a chance to go hunting with us this year, come down to Florida. She hadn't been able to go for a couple of years because we had a little girl. So this year, Brindley's finally getting big enough to stay with me and Pop, so she stayed the weekend over there, and Jessie flew down to meet Lake and I at Blackbeard's Ranch, where we've been hunting the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake and I got there a day before. Actually, we got there
2 days before.
We got to Wednesday afternoon, then Jesse was flying in Thursday night. So
okay, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got there Wednesday afternoon in time to roost turkeys. Did we hear turkeys that afternoon?
Yeah, that's how
did.
we found them on there on that dried pond bed the first time.
Right. So we get out there. We've hunted this place long enough now. We kind of know the areas where turkeys like to be. I mean, they're not in the same trees by any means, but they're in the same vicinity.
Same areas, yeah.
And the same couple 100-acre block or whatever every year. And we roost these turkeys right where you shot a turkey 2 years ago. I mean, pretty much he was in the same tree that turkey was.
That one wasn't. He was close to it.
And if he wasn't in the same tree, he was within 10, 15 yards of it.
Yeah.
And we had a game plan together. It was like we're gonna get on the opposite side of them. Seems like every time we get on turkeys in here, they want to drift that way. So we're actually gonna think ahead this time and not try to get super close to him, and try to get where they usually like to drift, the direction. Well, we get out there next morning, 4 daylight, starting to break day, and turkey gobbles. He's starting to gobble really good.
We get a little cranked up.
Yeah. Well, we get a little spot set up. We're like, man, this is perfect. It's a little gap in the woods. Ponds down there are like grass fields that are kind of wet.
Yeah.
And that's my best description of a pond in Florida, like what they call them, grass ponds or whatever.
Yeah.
And this year it was pretty dry there, so there was short grass in there. It's like perfect strutting area.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just what you look for in Florida when you think about a strutting area for one of those Osceolas. And we sit down. I was like, man, this is perfect if he comes like the way they have in years past. And sure enough, they fly down out there. They're like 100 yards when they fly down. I mean, goblins, two of them. Ends up being two of them goblins.
2 strutters and a couple hens.
You talk about a pretty show. I mean, it was just chilly enough where there was some like fog and stuff on the ground, and suckers out there just gobbling at everything for 5 or 10 minutes.
And if one of them would gobble, the other one had to answer it. It would.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Fantastic.
And we yelp at them, and one of them kind of gets interested, and he drifts our way. I'm like, all right, here he comes.
Yeah.
And like, he's going to do exactly what we're thinking he's going to do.
Yeah.
He gets, 70 yards?
70-ish, yeah.
Maybe a touch closer, and does not come a single step closer to us. And I guess the hens or whatever, because there was hens yelping all over. It was pretty cool. And anyway, they take off and start kind of working back to the way where Lake shot a turkey a couple years ago, which is the way they hardly ever go.
Yeah, it's just kind of how
course.
it worked out. Yeah.
It may have had something to do with me yelping too much. Who knows? But and probably just the way they wanted to go. I don't know. Or it may have just been I'm not too good of a yelper. But anyway, Lake and I decide we're going to leave them alone. Just let them do their thing. And I think we tried to strike them one more time. Never could get anything.
Yeah. Right
go.
before we left, we tried yelping at them hard one time just to see. We were trying to mainly just see where they were, like which way did they go once they got, once they went through down that road.
So we go off prospecting. We do strike another turkey that morning. And didn't do anything with him. He gobbled 3 or 4 times at the crow and never could even get him to gobble at a yelp. Just typical, like we thought they were early acting. And that's just the difference in a day by day, come to find out. But the later on that afternoon, we strike a turkey, middle afternoon. He comes in, we get him. It was a pretty cool hunt.
Beautiful hunt.
So Jesse's flying in that night. And we go pick her up at the airport. We go roost the turkeys in the pond.
Before we go pick
her up. And they're in the same pond, but in a different tree, about 150 yards from where they were that morning.
Yeah, they're pretty much, we went in there, we did anticipate that they might roost back in there again. So me and you went in there in the middle of the day and made that blind.
Yeah, we did do that.
When I say made a blind, there was like a big cabbage tree with a bunch of hanging over leaves. We cut those out where we could see under it, and then we cut up a bunch of palmetto bushes and kind of staked them in the ground where you could hide 3 people under there.
Yeah, and if they did the same thing they did that morning, they would be within 20, 30 yards.
Yeah.
And so we get there at dark. Hoot, he gobbles. He's 100 yards from where he was that morning, still on the edge of this pond. Pond's, 15 acres maybe?
Yeah.
Grass.
Yeah.
It's like a big food plot, essentially.
Yeah, that was one of the cool. I said usually when you see Osceola hunts and you're talking about, people are going to picture like these giant fields, and that's not what this was. Like I said, it looks like a small food plot.
Yeah, and for sure. And the next morning, we go pick up Jesse, and we get out there next morning, crawl up in our little hut we made.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he starts gobbling, and there's another turkey to our right gobbling, and hens start yelping. It was picture perfect.
It was awesome.
And you could see him on the limb up there gobbling and strutting about 200 yards from us.
Yeah, and what was cool was when the limb he was in, you could pick him out, especially when it was just a silhouette. You could pick him out through like the pine needles and stuff. But he ended up shifting limbs before he flew down, and he was on a limb stuck out in the wide open, just kind of looking down on that pond bed, and just he would pop, strut, and then he'd gobble. I mean, the footage is... I haven't got to film turkeys doing that too much. It's pretty rare to get to do.
And we had some hens up to our right that started cutting up when we started tree yelping at him.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually pitched down right in front of us. Like one of them's about 50 yards, the other one's about 80.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're milling around. It's like, if this doesn't work out, I mean, like, I'm thinking the whole time, it's like, you couldn't ask for a better scenario.
He's going to pitch that right down to these hens.
Yeah. Anyway, the hens start working back to our right. One of them goes back like 20 yards.
Yeah.
And he pitches down in this fog.
Yeah.
And you can't see him.
Yeah, he just disappears.
He just goes straight down, pretty much. And he's on the other side of the pond. And he starts gobbling, but you can't freaking see him or really figure out where he is because of the echo and stuff. It's kind of a weird deal. I mean, you could tell he's on that side, but it was like, I should be seeing him. He sounds like he's like 80 or 90 yards, but it's in the fog.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, those hens, we start yelping at him, and those hens get fired up. You started having a conversation with a hen. That was pretty neat.
That was fun.
She started cutting, and you cut her back at her, and she got riled up.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but those hens, you were looking at them maybe or something.
I was looking at the hens because I'd seen them, and I mean, I'm telling you, I glanced away for a few seconds, and all of a sudden I glanced back over, and there's the hens, and then there's a strutter. And I was like, gobbler, 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 gobbler. I mean, because when I saw him out there with those, he was like 50 yards.
Yeah.
And kind of drifting that way. And I just knew because the way we were sitting, I don't think y'all would have been able to see him. I was probably blocking him from y'all, essentially,
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
You.
Okay. And so it took a minute. You know, it was one of those things, like, I won't say that the plan worked to a T. I mean, I guess it kind of did, because she ended up shooting that turkey right there out of that hut we built, but it took a while.
He was doing like one step at a time.
Yeah. I thought, that's why at first when I started having a conversation with that hen, I was hoping that she was going to get agitated at me talking to her, and she would come over and he would just follow her in. That didn't happen. He just kind of got into his spot where he was comfortable, and he would drum and he'd strut and he'd drum and he'd strut. And at one point, he was 30 yards from me, but I was blocking Jesse's shot, and we just had to wait for him to finally drift far enough. And we were having a conversation. You could hear us talking, because it was like me running the camera, Jesse's in the middle, and George sitting on the far left. And when Jessie shoots, her gun barrel is like an inch away from my little secondary camera I have on that little action arm.
Yeah, it's a couple of feet from you or whatever, but it's out on your tripod.
Oh, yeah. It was just like, for me, it's perfectly safe. Yeah, but I'm just talking, because at one point I said, "Can you shoot it?" She goes, "No, I'm going to blow up your camera." I was like, "Oh." But no, it worked out, and it was a absolutely beautiful hunt. And when we said after, I was like, it was kind of cool it worked out that way, because had he come in, we're going to shoot him the first opportunity we get, because that's what you do. But the way that he did, he made us watch him longer, So that was kind of cool. But yeah, we could talk for hours on all the action that happened in Florida. But
yep, our buddy Forrest Marlowe, graphic designer at Primos, a lot of the branding stuff y'all see, he's had some part in it, and I think he even helped build the logo for the podcast or something.
He did.
Yep. So
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, he got to come down and shoot his first. He is a turkey hunter for sure. He actually killed one this morning.
Yeah.
But because he's better than us. But he went down there and got to shoot his first Osceola, and that was really fun to watch. He definitely deserved that.
Yep. And Troy got one, and you got one, and then you got another one at Blackbeard. So. You are a leg up on everybody right now.
That's how I like to be. I like to just keep myself just a step in front of everybody else.
It's been a fun week, but golly, I'm finna get about a 30-minute cat nap, and we finna get back after it.
That's a fact. So, guys, we'll wrap up this conversation. Hope you enjoyed our conversation, stories, tips, ramblings, whatever you want to call it. Always fun when the Mississippi turkey season opens up. I'm hoping the way this pans out that some of y'all that are listening to this went turkey hunting this morning or are going to get after it at some point this week or spring. But yeah, that's going to tie us up. Don't forget to check out the Onyx Hunt app. Use the promo code Primos20 to get 20% off your Onyx membership. Catch y'all back next week. Thank you for listening to the Speak the Language podcast.